All right. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. Welcome. It's a new week, new levels, new things happening. We have a lot to go over this morning. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? A little bit of a gap up here, a little bit of a spooky Monday morning gap up this morning. The spooky Monday morning gap up. We'll talk about it. A lot going on this morning or a lot going on this week, rather. This week is going to be a pretty big week. We have a lot of econ data, a lot of earnings reports, so we'll talk about it. We have the levels are really the same, right, as Friday, as last week, right? I didn't do a pre-market on Friday, so I didn't really trade in Friday session, so we'll talk about a little bit about what happened on Friday session, because we sort of need a recap, right? What happened on Friday, because we were not there. At least I was not there. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the sort of the structure lower downside on Friday, retest into our supply, and downside back into demand here. This was pretty textbook, right? Pretty textbook downside on Friday, but we retraced back into key demand, and this morning we are now sort of reacting off that demand zone. So let's talk about it. We have a lot to go over this morning, guys. Welcome in. Happy Monday. Reading the chat. Where is everybody? Everybody's sleeping in this morning. It's Monday. We have 500 people here. It's already 8:34. We have a lot of stragglers here this morning. Lots of stragglers. Lots of stragglers. Welcome in, guys. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Dante, Carlisle, Blake, Max, welcome in, guys. Caroline Blue, welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we can just dive into it, right? We can start going through these charts. Let the stragglers straggle a little bit. You guys are here. That's all that matters. So today's session, we're going to talk about SPY, and we're going to go over a little bit about what's going on here, right? So Friday session, which we didn't do pre-market on Friday, but we were here in Thursday session. We spoke about the upside in Thursday session, right? I traded longs on Thursday. I traded longs at here. This was like the best possible long entry on Thursday session was longing 625. If you guys recall, that's what we did. We just basically all session we pulled back to demand, long demand, long demand, long demand. Lots of ins and outs, but the ultimate idea ended up working, right? And we TP'd, I TP'd into the first break of highs on Thursday, which was here, and that was it. So I took calls from here to there, and that was my Thursday session. Friday session, we basically just structured lower. So you saw a rejection of all-time high supply. You saw us move down lower on SPY. In today's session, we're going to talk about the demand below and the gap up in the market. We're going to go over the ES chart. We'll talk about the ES chart also doing the same thing. A demand hold on ES resulting in upside this morning, a little bit of a gap up, right? So this is what's going on here. Yes, we are going to talk about this ES chart this morning. We are going to talk about Nvidia. We'll talk about Nvidia and the supply above, the small demand below, and the macro demand below. The macro demand below being the demand we have to test in order for us to really make any sustained upside moves. We are going to talk about AMD. AMD, we are going to talk about 148, 147, the big technical level of demand below that we have not tested yet. Is there a potential downside move on AMD looming? And I think there is. I think there is a looming downside move that must happen at some point here in AMD, and it's going to result in us pulling back to 148. We are going to talk about the SMH chart. SMH holding above 288. We'll talk about AVGO. We'll talk about TSM. TSM, beautiful gap fill, beautiful upside move post earnings, gap fill right into our demand. And now TSM is at an interesting spot this morning. So we're going to talk about TSM today being a very important level. Okay. We'll go over Amazon. We'll go over Apple. We'll go over the whole lot today. I know you guys want to go over it. We're also going to go over BULL. I know people are already in the chat probably talking about BULL, so we'll talk about BULL. Bull, which is Webull. Okay, we have a lot to go over this morning, guys. Let's just go into our earnings reports, econ data. Then we'll go back into our charts, and we'll have a nice pre-market webinar this morning. Okay, so econ data for the week ahead of us. Today is Monday, July the 21st. Today's session, we don't really have any big data. It's actually a pretty light data day. Okay, we just have leading indicators 10 o'clock. some bill auctions at 11:30, and that's all we have on the docket for this morning. Now, going into tomorrow's session, tomorrow is where things begin to pick up. Tomorrow, we have Jerome Powell speaking at 8:30 a.m. This is going to be big. Be aware of that going into tomorrow's session. That means if you are full port 1 DTE calls on SPY, right, from today's session at 3 p.m., okay, into tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., you have no ability to do anything until 9:30, of course, because Jerome Powell is speaking. Okay, so this, obviously not because Jerome Powell is speaking, but because market is going to make probably a move during the J Powell talk tomorrow. So be careful swinging longs or shorts into that session. Okay, now obviously post 8:30 tomorrow, it's mostly clear to around 10 o'clock. We have some manufacturing data, and that's all we have for tomorrow's session. So we'll break this down as we move on, but understand that tomorrow's session we do have Powell speaking at the open, okay, a little bit before the open into the open session. So be aware of that going into that session, right? So earnings reports. In terms of earnings reports going into our Monday morning, this morning we have VZ, Verizon. Besides that, you have KO, you have Lockheed Martin, LMT, you have GM, you have RTX on the Tuesday session. And then after hours on Tuesday, you have Capital One, TXN, Texas Instruments. That's all we have, really, mostly small cap names and banks. We are now reaching the end of our bank earnings season, which begins with, obviously, you have Wednesday session, you have Tesla, you have Google, you have IBM, you have Chipotle, you have AT&T. Thursday, you have American Airlines, Intel, INTC, right? So some big names reporting this week, and we must be aware of that, right? The big one, obviously, the biggest one people are watching for this week is obviously going to be Tesla and Google. Those are the two big boys. But of course, we do have data and earnings reports almost every single day this week, and that's obviously going to result in some volatility. And also, it's going to do something else interesting, right? It's going to make probably some of these names untradeable, right? So for example, today we have, or really Wednesday session, we have Tesla, okay? How do you think Tesla contracts are going to be impacted going into our Monday and Tuesday sessions? Well, maybe today they may be okay to trade, but going into Tuesday, I would not plan to trade Tesla on Tuesday because again, those contracts are going to be very locked up, of course, because the high IV, resulting in them not moving too much during this pre-earnings days, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Tesla may be a little bit tricky to trade, right? That being said, what I want to do today is I want to talk all about charts today. I want to just dive into this because, of course, we were not here on Friday session. I took off on Friday. So we are sort of in the dark a little bit here. And for that reason, we're going to talk about what happened not only on Friday, but also on Thursday to get a full sort of view as to what's going on here in SPY's chart. Anyway, guys, we have 900 people here this morning. 900 people here this morning. And we have approximately 59 likes is what I'm seeing in my end, which is diabolical. Actually, 270. We're 270. It's not that bad. We're actually fine. We're okay. We're fine. People were saying that the screen's still cut off. Yes, it's still cut off, but you guys know what I'm going over. If you want, what I could do is I can type it in the top right so you can see it. This is the ES. This is the SPY chart, right? So this is a SPY chart. So I'll write it over there as I'm going over it. But of course, you guys probably know what I'm doing anyway, right? Okay, so on the SPY chart, what happened on Thursday and Friday? So Thursday session, if you guys remember, like this is what we talked about on Thursday, was the 625 level being the golden level, big golden level, and we had to get above this for upside. You saw us basically break above it. We pulled back to demand. We retraced the demand, and we saw some beautiful upside move all day on the break and retest above 625. It even gave us a second break and retest here at 626 for more sustained upside, and that was the day here on Thursday. Very beautiful upside technical action, right? Why am I saying that? Because obviously we went long on Thursday, right? Which was a good logical thing to do, right? We saw upside back into supply, pull back to demand, right? Beautiful sustained upside after testing demand all day. So that was Thursday session. And then on Friday session, we opened the session and we opened pretty ugly. It was an ugly open on Friday, right? And it was not a very easy session because you saw us open right back into all-time high supply, right? Right back into that all-time high supply. If you zoom out for a second, this was that sort of that new all-time high push in the market, right? And then we just faded immediately off the open, right? You saw almost an immediate fade off the 629.50. You saw us push into the level, reject, push into the level, reject, push into the level, and a beautiful pin bar rejection downside play. So the downside move on Friday was the best move, right? It was just sustained downside all day under 628, under that Thursday level, under that high of Tuesday level. We saw us fail back below level, big downside, right, into 626, back into our key demand below, and then that's it. That was pretty much all that happened on Friday, right? Just a sustained downside move back into our demand zone here at 626. And the question we have to ask ourselves today is, where is SPY going now? So the first thing we must understand is we are back at the same level we were before. So the same level we rejected on Friday session, Friday early morning, is the same level we are touching here pre-market, and the same level we are also rejecting off of this morning. So if you're watching for anything today, the first thing you must understand is there's big supply above us. Big supply above, big supply above. And we don't really know how strong this level is yet, right? Because this is a level that is really new to us, right? This is not a big daily level that we're talking about for many months, and it's a level we haven't touched in since 2023, right? This is not one of those levels. This is a high of Friday, and it is an all-time high. That's what this level is, right? This is simply a previous all-time high, previous Friday high, previous weekly high, previous monthly high, whatever you want to call it, it is that high, right? Yes, it's a big level, but it's not one of those big daily levels, right? Because the market hasn't really proven it to us yet, right? And so what's going to happen today that we need to see is this level going to be proven to us as one of those big levels? Are we going to see us sustain failure off this level? And in which case we can now understand how important 629.5 is, and it's going to be something we have in our charts for a long time. But as of right now, we don't know yet, right? Right now we just see it as a level from Friday. We see it as an all-time high level. And it's a level that's all in our charts, but we don't know how important it is yet. So here's what I'll do today. If we were going to watch for longs, we want to see us sustained above that 629.5, above our pre-market high, above our Friday high. If we see us break above that, then of course we see what is considered a price discovery mode move and upside back into who knows where, right? Because again, this would be a new all-time break, and we don't really know exactly where we're going to go to, but we'd expect upside after breaking that level, okay? So that's what I'm expecting today. Really, just if this happens, sustained upside, right? But the most logical thing that happens today, the best case scenario, is you do see pullbacks, right? So you don't want, this is like, obviously this is a long scenario, but the best case scenario would be we pull back into one of our demand zones. And our demand zone is pretty clear. There'd be 3 demand zones that I'm watching. Demand zone number 1 is going to be 628, right? This is our demand zone number 1. This is our level from our Tuesday's highs. It's a level from our Friday breakdown level. And Fancy, thank you very much, Fancy. Much appreciated. That is very kind of you, Fancy. Thank you for always supporting the stream. Okay, so someone's saying, why is the stock cut off on the left-hand corner again? Yes, it's still cut off, but we have it written over here. So you see what I'm saying? It's right there. Okay, that is the ticker I'm going over, SPY. Okay, so the first level I'll be watching for pullbacks is 628, but this is not a main level I'm watching. It's just a big support zone. The levels that I would really be watching for longs today, the levels I'd be looking for actual beautiful pullback longs, will be back at 626 and 625. And 625 is my big golden level. This is my big golden pocket zone today. The reason why 625 is my big golden pocket zone is because it is the level I longed on Thursday. It is the level I longed on Tuesday, or not, I didn't long on Tuesday, but it is the level of Tuesday's session. It is the level of Monday's highs. It is the level of that Friday's highs. It is the colossal level in front of us that I am watching. Okay, so I think that the best case scenario today would be this. It would be us sustained pullback to 625, and that's the long case scenario today. That's what I'd be looking for. The market is clearly overheated. The market's clearly very hot, but what I'd be looking for is I'd be looking for pullbacks into key demands for long entries. Likewise, that also means I could kind of inverse this a little bit, right? I could also look for shorts back under 628, right? If we lose 628, I could look for shorts on the market and look for downside back at 626. I could look for shorts back under 626 for downside back at 625. I could also be looking for downside today as we pull back into my key demand zone, right? So I could look for longs there, I could look for shorts here, or I could look for longs there. That's really it, right? That's kind of the scenarios I have here. I have scenario 1, longs back at demand. I have scenario 2, shorts back under demand. And I have scenario 3, longs above highs. That's really all I'm watching for today's session. Do we break a new all-time high today and see a sustained rally higher? Or do we see us retrace back to our demand zones, in which case I can either wait for my demand for longs, or I could capitalize on those longs, on those shorts, and look for some puts off the early morning session, right? And the problem with demand bounces today, here's the problem. The unfortunate reality is this: if you were watching for a 625 demand bounce today, right? You are not trading at 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are not trading at 9:34, right? You were trading probably maybe in the afternoon session, right? You were waiting for an afternoon session demand bounce, which may or may not happen. Okay, so that's the unfortunate reality of waiting for demand bounces that are so far away. It just simply may not happen in the early morning session. Okay, on the ES chart, it is very much so the same case, right? And what I'm going to do here, so we don't get any confusion, is I'm going to write this is the ES chart on the top right, ES chart, so nobody can confuse this. ES chart. The supply above us is the same as SPY. That same 629.50 on the SPY chart is the same 635, 63.57 ES level, right? This is our all-time highest level. And if you want to get crazy today and you want to say, I want to long into this level like a rhino, this is what could happen today. Bam. And you don't want that to happen, right? If you're looking for longs today, it's not right here. It's not right here into pre-market highs, right? If you're looking for longs, it's this. That's your long-based entry today's session. If you want to see a new price discovery mode move, look for longs above the previous all-time highs, 6357, for continuation moves higher in the market. But the most logical thing to be watching for this Monday morning is, do we pull back, right? And the pullback that I'm watching, the golden pocket zone, the golden pocket level is 6310, right? It is right here on our orange. You know what? This is orange. Let's make it yellow so it's more golden. It's the golden level, right? 6310 is the golden level. The reason why it's the golden level is because it is simply this, it is this, it is this, it is this. This is my main level of technical demand below. So if we do pull back to here today, that's my most logical long spot, my beautiful highest conviction area to go long on the ES chart. It's right there. Now, this is important because I'm talking all about longs today as if that's the only scenario. Just like on the SPY chart, if you want to look for shorts today, you absolutely can, right? If you see us fail below the 63.36 level, you could short back into Friday's lows. I don't really like that though, to be honest with you. Why would I want to short on a Monday morning into a Friday low? It just doesn't really make sense into my system. So if I'm looking for shorts today, it's really got to be under that 63.23 for puts back into 63.10. And again, that's also a problem because damn, that's not really that much downside potential here. It's literally 20 points of downside right back into demand today. So it is a little bit of a tricky Monday morning where we must understand that, you know, today's session is going to be a little bit off the open about simply being a data collector, right? And when we say this on Mondays, being a data collector is important on Mondays. What does that mean? It just means, hey, wait a few minutes off market open, right? If the market open does this, if the market open rips off the open, right, the first 15 minutes market's ripping, right, then of course, maybe there's some more appetite for longs today and we can get some aggressive and long side trades. But if market just starts dumping today, right, just starts doing this today, bam, downside, right, then maybe there is some sustained downside in the market. Maybe we do see some downside, but probably only as far back as that 6310, because of course, that's our big golden pocket zone today's session, okay? So that's what it is today here on SPY chart, ES chart. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, right? Today's session, there is a little bit of some data collection that's required to see what the market has appetite for. We don't really know what's going to happen yet, so let's see as the market presents. On the Qs chart, QQQ, and we're going to go through this a little bit faster. On the Qs chart, this was beautiful on Thursday session. The reason why I was so happy being long on the market on Thursday was because we saw the most beautiful break and hold above 557, right? Remember we said how important 557 was on the QQQ chart. Well, on the Qs chart Thursday session, we saw a sustained rally on the Qs as long as we were above 557. That was the golden level here on Qs, and we just turned it into support on Thursday and ripped higher pretty much 15 minutes after market open, okay? Now, on Friday's session, you saw a whole lot of nothing happen. You saw some downside come in, but we held 560 and we just chopped around all day. Now, today's session, we're back at the all-time highs here in QQQ, and the golden pocket level is still the same as it was on Thursday's session, Thursday and Friday. If we see us pull back to our golden pocket level, which would be the equivalent of 557, right, I would look for longs back here, right? If we pull back to my golden level here, I'm looking for longs, right? That's simply all I have here for longs. And if we fail today, right, if you see us fail today, the only failure point I have in the market today on Qs would be under 560. And this could be your short today. If you're watching for a technical short in the market, maybe looking for a 560 failure in Qs is your short, right? This could be your top watch. Is if we see us break down under this level, that's where you can get some sustained downside move back into 557. But I say sustained, but is this really sustained? I mean, is this really? I mean, it's a little bit of downward pressure, right? A little bit of some downward pressure back into 557. So you have about $3 of downside here, but that is enough to trade off of. So for me on the Qs, I would be watching mostly this. Anything over here, right? Anything over here is, I just don't get involved in it, right? Just it means nothing. If we just do this today, some sustained rally upside moves today, I'm not part of it. Leave it alone, right? Let it do its thing. If it pulls back, right, to 560, I'm not longing that either. I know it's support, but I'm not longing it. I would only go short under 560, downside move, or long here at 557. Those are the only two plays I'm watching today in Qs. Of course, though, I don't want to change the fact that this still is support, though. 560 is still our Friday low, is still our Tuesday's highs. So, of course, obviously a scenario that's still possible is we just do this today, right? That could be possible today. Again, I want you guys to be aware of sort of what the market's doing and what I would do as I'm trading it, okay? So again, 560 support, 557 support, and you have some resistance here at 564, 563.90, okay, on the Qs chart. That's all we have in front of us here on the Qs. So let's move on. Let's just show us the NQ chart briefly. I want to just flash the NQ chart very quick. NQ chart, quick flash. You can see here you have supply above us. So you see that golden level. I'll make it a white level here. You have 23,100 as our big level, 23,000 and change as our supply, our QQ 555 level, and of course you have this this Friday low here, 23,171. Right. So if you want to see failures today in the market, we need to see a failure under 22,171. If this happens, this could be the first sign of some breakage, some downside moves in the market, right? This would be the first sign of that, right? Back under these lows would be the real sign of wreckage in the market, okay? So that's what I'm seeing here on NQ's chart, right? Guys, let's move on. Let's go over our tickers of the day. Let's go over our individual names. Let's start off with the first ticker. Everyone's probably talking about it, right? Let's go over Nvidia. Actually, nobody's talking about it. Everyone's talking about BULL. Nvidia. So, Nvidia's chart. On the NVDA chart, something that's kind of getting me a little bit off the gas pedal, right? This is what's getting me a little bit off the gas pedal in the market is the fact that you have semis beginning to cool down, right? And there is some cooling down on semis that have to happen. And I think I've been talking about the cool down on semis for a while. I think it is starting to happen, right? Maybe you see some more breakage, but for me, I looking at this chart now, I can see the importance of a pullback, right? You see it more and more if you go to those larger time frames, but even on the 15-minute time frame, you can see it, right? You see some upside, right? Some very overheated upside, reversion back to our trend line. Upside, reversion back to trend line. Upside, what's needed now here on the video chart is a reversion back to trend line, right? You want to see us pull back to our trend line, back into our demand below. And I think no matter what you do here on Nvidia, like I am almost a perma bull on Nvidia, but I look at this chart and I'll tell you this needs a pullback, right? And the pullback is still bullish. By every means, the pullback is still bullish. What I'd be watching for here on Nvidia is a pullback to 168 demand zone below, right? That's simply it. If this can pull back to 168 demand zone below, that's your long spot, right? This is your beautiful long spot here on NVDA, right? Nvidia. And of course, this is where we're looking for longs, right? Previous highs, right? That Thursday high, July 10 high. And of course, this would be the untested demand zone we have. And I'd be looking for longs there at 168. Okay, so watching that for pullback longs. In contrast, I could also take the short, right? With that same mindset I have here in longs, I could also take the short under our Friday's lows. So we have Friday's lows produced here at 171 and change, right? 171 and change. You can see 171 right here. If I want to get funny today on Nvidia, I would be watching for a short, a break and retest short under 171, and I look for a short side move back in 168. Now again, this is kind of against the grain here on Nvidia because to be honest, I'm looking for my water right now. I have no idea where I put my water. I put it somewhere. There it is. Okay, so you see me looking down. I'm like looking for my water all the time. So on Nvidia, under 171, there is downside. Now the problem with shorting this is it's still an uptrend, right? And I don't really like shorting these charts that are in uptrends in downside moves because of course you're just basically shorting this back into demand. I still will do that though. Today I will do it. And if I see us breaking on 171, would be a beautiful tactical short. The reason why is because I think this chart is way overheated, right? So if we do see us break under 171, I do think we see 168 very quickly because there is nothing holding us between 171, 168-ish, and then 167. So watching that today would be a good failure short under 171. And then of course, you must understand though, if you're short under 171, you're not going to be a perma bear, right? You're just looking for a small little scalper into 168 demand zone below, which of course where you want to go long on the market. And that's your big demand zone below, okay? So I feel like I say it all the time, but of course that's what's happening here on this chart, okay? On AMD, it's the same idea, right? On AMD's chart, you look at this chart and it's just very clear that these charts need pullbacks, right? The pullbacks are going to come in. The pullbacks are going to surprise people. They're going to be a surprising pullback. They're going to be one of these pullbacks where you see like 12 red candles in a row and you're wondering where the hell are the buyers? And the buyers just simply are not going to be there. There are going to be no buyers until we pull back to these key levels of demand. The demand here on AMD is 148. That's where it is, right? That's where the demand is below, okay? What's going to happen here at some point is you're going to have to see a pullback to that level. The reason why I'm saying that is because you have a beautiful technical breakout here on AMD, but no pullback to this level for real buyers, right? So if I'm looking for longs on AMD as a bull, I'll tell you this. You have a beautiful high produced here, bull flag high. You have a nice little upside back into these highs, beautiful upside, a breakout above 148, but no pullback to that level. Looking for 148 would be the most logical thing to do now on AMD. So watching 148 for longs would be very solid today, looking for a pullback long there. But of course, just like I'm saying across many names today, yes, we are watching for demand bounces below. But come on, understand this, right? If I'm watching for 148 as a bounce today on AMD, it's $10 away, right? Am I expecting to trade AMD at 9:34 a.m. today? No, I'm not, right? Unless I'm trading it short, okay? If I'm trading this chart short, I could look for a failure back under my 157 level, my Friday's lowest for a downside. I could do this, right? But of course, if I am doing this, I understand that I am only trading it back into demand because this is still an upward trend, right? And the winning team here, the winning team is still the bulls. Even if we see a failure under my Friday's lows, which in this case should be adjusted now to that 156 level. If we see a failure under 156, sure, right? I am like I can do this, right? But I'm going to be racing against Usain Bolt, right? Usain Bolt, I'm basically this. I'm the bear, right? Usain Bolt is the bull. He's already he's just starting the race, and I've been running for about 20 minutes. Okay, I'm already running right for 20 minutes. He's gonna catch up to me eventually, no matter what, right? So if I am shorting this chart, I am Brett, and the bulls are Usain Bolt. Okay, he's gonna eventually win, and it's gonna do this. It's gonna pull back to my demand zone 148, and it's probably gonna absolutely rip after that. If I'm shorting this chart, it's only back into that's a very, very horrible. Very, very bad analogy. It makes no sense what I just said, by the way. But again, the chart is what matters, right? Under 158.6 is where shorts can be involved, and we can short it back into 148. But again, that's your big demand zone. We can watch for longs there, okay? Moving on, Amazon. Amazon 227, beautiful chart today. I am watching this. If you can clear 227, right? Big upside trade back at 229. I am watching that for longs, okay? Break and hold above 227 for longs, back in 229, okay? Apple, on the Apple chart, 212 is breaking. This is going to be important for me today's session. If Apple can hold 212 today, this is going to be a really nice long spot. That's just simply what this is here, right? What I'm watching for in Apple is to see, can Apple maintain above 212? If it can, look for some long trades here and upside momentum, right? If you fail back below 212, then obviously this is going lower, back into 208.50, and there's no long here. But again, here in Apple, everything is determined by whether or not we are above 212 or below 212. Right now, we are above 212, therefore we are bullish, okay? On the SMH chart, I think we already spoke about this a little bit for a second, but 288 is very important. If you lose to 288, you can expect that sort of overheated semis to begin to cool down a little bit back into that 283 level here on SMH. Kind of going around a little bit in circles here today. TSM. TSM is a beautiful long opportunity here, right? TSM off the 238 level is very important. Why is it so important? Because this was a beautiful a beautiful post earnings play. Earnings, big gap up in the market, pull back to key demand here, 238. If I'm watching for anything today on TSM, it's going to be a 238 pullback long for a nice upside trade. Watching this chart today, this could be a nice little bull flag, right? You can call this a little bull flag play, right? This could be what I'm seeing here is just a beautiful bull flag here in TSM. I think you guys should watch this, right? Even if I don't trade this today on live trading, whatever reason, right? Watch TSM. TSM is going to be big, right? If this can hold 238, this could be a beautiful, this is probably the cleanest semiconductor name today, right? You have 238 bull flag right back in post earnings, right back into our 238 demand zone. This could be a nice trade today. Watch TSM today's session, okay? Hood, H-O-O-D, Hood 102, really that's the level I'm watching, 102 pullback longs, that's all I have here in Hood. That would be the sort of test of our bull flag as well, right? So H-O-O-D, what I'd be watching for today's session is going to be this pullback long back at demand, okay? 102, 102, 102. That's what I'm watching today here, 102, okay? Now, I know you guys are not going to let me go anywhere today unless I do BULL. So on the BULL chart, okay, you saw some crazy upside on Friday, some crazy upside on Friday's session, into almost $17 on Friday. And then on the after hours around, I think it was like 4:30 in the afternoon, 4:40 in the afternoon, you saw the management team of BULL announce pretty much a dilution of shares. Okay, they announced a dilution of shares to raise capital. I think they're selling around 12.4, I believe, something like that. I can't remember the actual number, but it's something in the mid 12s, right? Some sort of sale in the mid 12s, which is reasonable. Okay, it's nothing crazy. It's not like $1, right? It's a reasonable sell point. It's not abnormal. It's kind of bad they're doing this, right, to a stock that's rallying, right? Now the question becomes, what does BULL do now? To be honest with you, the beautiful rally that was started on Friday, unfortunately, may be halted for a little bit. That sort of rally may just maybe kicked in the shin a little bit, right? A little bit of some broken ankles in the rally, right? So what I'd watch for now is, does BULL hold the previous highs, 14.3? In order for this to maintain its beautiful bull rally, again, no pun intended there, in order for it to maintain its bull rally on bull, it has to hold 14.2. That's simply what it is, right? If it loses 14.2, unfortunately, the bull rally probably comes to a close and this moves back down to 12.0. As of right now, you are seeing these previous highs, and these, back to BULL, these previous highs, right, turning into support. So on the Webull stock, which we are going over right now so you guys understand it, right? Again, you can see it over there in the top left a little bit, kind of cut off. But 14.2 is a big level. If we are above 14.2, we are bullish. If we lose 14.2, then we could expect this to go back lower. We could expect this to probably fail back into 12.0. So right now, you must look for this. You must be waiting to see, can this turn 14.2 into a demand zone, in which case that's where it holds. Okay, that's the best possible scenario here on BULL. Okay, right. Moving on. Meta. On the Meta chart, Meta. 705 defending, 705 big level. That's your big demand zone, right? 705 failed on Friday session. We are now back above it on Monday morning. Could this be the start of Meta, right? This could be the start of Meta if it can break down this little downtrend, right? I would be watching to see, can Meta hold above 705? If it can, back into 715 is most likely the scenario. So again, no big read here in Meta. Nothing outlandish here on Meta's chart. But if I'm watching this, I'd watch to see, can Meta hold above 705. If it can clear 705, then it probably moves back into these previous lows over here, 715. Okay. Moving on, Tesla. So Tesla, big move on Friday session. And Tesla's probably the name everyone's watching this morning. Now, this morning on Tesla, what I'd be watching for in Tesla is, the first thing I'd watch out for is, we do have supply here at 335, right? So 335 is our supply zone, 335. If I'm trading Tesla today, I'm trading it like this. I'm going to be doing this today in Tesla. Number one, looking to see, can we see some sort of bounce off of our Friday's highs, 331, okay? If we lose 331, then we are pulling back to 324.50, 325. These are my updated levels here on Tesla. Again, supply here at 334, 335, demand here at 331, and big demand here at 325. If I'm looking for longs today, I'm looking for longs either there, or I'm looking for longs either here. Those are the two long base entries I have here on Tesla's chart. Demand zone 1, demand zone 2. That's all I have here in Tesla, okay? PCG. Someone said PCG in the chat. PCG 13.6 is your level here at PCG. That's all I have here in PCG. Very big level here. It has to reclaim that for longs right now. It's underneath that level. PCG 13.6. Okay. CRCL. I don't think I've ever gone over this ticker before. I don't even know if I know. I don't even think I've heard of this ticker before. Is there any levels I have here? No levels here on this chart anyway. But in Circle, which is an interesting chart. Must be a new chart. This is a June 5th stock. So this is a new IPO, I guess. But here on Circle, you can see you have a high here at 300. You have a recent high here at 264. Right now, it's just forming lower highs. I have no interest here on this chart, to be honest with you, right? 221 is my demand zone. For me, I need more data here. There's not enough data for me to work off of. I'll probably just leave it alone. I don't even want to say anything about this chart because, again, I have no data to work off of, and I probably would just say something wrong here. So, gonna leave this chart alone. Okay, guys. Thank you all for joining in. It's Monday. It's a new week. It's a new week, not a new month, but it's a new week, right? So let's dive into this week with the right mindset. Let's have a good week and let's have a good Monday. I'll see you guys all for live trading. Bye, guys.